within a cemetery. I will fight, never wary, I wanna be legendary. Till I'm dead and buried deep within a cemetery. I will fight, never wary, I wanna be legendary.
And here we have him, Lance Whitnall. How are you, buddy? How's things?
Hello, all good, thank you. Welcome, thank you.
Big Red, as you used to be known. Are you still known as Big Red?
I think I'm even bigger red now.
Or was it just red at one stage? I think people used to call it red.
It was red, but then it got Big Red, and then
the red.
Just red, yeah.
Just red.
Actually, I read with interest that there was another nickname that you had originally called Bango. Where did that come from?
Yeah, Bango's me junior nickname as a kid. That's sort of. It's my local nickname, that one, and it's stuck all through right to now.
What's the reason behind that? Is that like the old Harvey Wallbanger?
The X-rated version, or the back when I started kicking a footy, I used to bang it down on my foot, like a lot of kids do, and one of my Layla mates just called me Banger, and
wow,
yeah, and
that's unreal.
I think he was the first one to see me do it, and when I was a little tacker, and from there it's stuck, and so now
I love finding out.
Basically, when everyone calls me Banger, I know it's pretty much someone from the junior days.
Yeah. That's unreal how our name could be given for the dumbest reasons, right?
That's right.
And it sticks. We had a mate just quietly, right? He was only a short bloke, right? And over like Christmas, he just shot up. So we called him Spud. and
just
until
like
this
potatoes,
day, he's still Spud. That's all you know him, mate.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
fair
that's
enough.
unreal. Yeah. So that's it. So
well, thanks for joining us, mate. It's
all good.
Nice to be here at the Hard Rocco Cafe.
Beautiful
in
setup.
Reservoir.
Yeah, lovely little setup. So it's good.
yeah, that's it. So we're here to talk about. Don't worry about us. We're
here to talk about you.
Yeah, I don't like talking about myself,
career!
but
What a great career you had at Carlton, mate.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was a great time. So I really enjoyed it.
Your old man,
really
first of all, played.
He did, yes. Yeah. Graham, yep.
66 games.
Yeah, it depends on what record you look at. Some say 66, some say 67, some 69, but around that.
Oh,
yeah, it's
really?
around that.
Really? Okay.
I think they weren't too good at keeping records back in those days, so they might have missed the game here and there. But
back then they didn't have things like medical sub or technical sub. Do you get a game or don't you get a game?
Either you're in or out, but sometimes you may even sat on the bench for the whole game.
That's it.
Back in those days, and never got on, so they might not have counted a couple that he regularly sat on the bench, but
that's maybe what it was. Maybe he was a 19th or 20th man or something.
Yeah, these days, if you're on the bench, you don't get on. You still get a
These
game.
days you do.
You have to, yeah. Even if you're
I'm not sure that it happened back then.
No, it wouldn't have back then.
No.
You would only if you're on the bench, and pretty much back then you were on the bench, you stayed there until someone got injured. Now it's rotations.
The question is whether you get credited with the game if you don't get on the ground.
The medical sub, you do.
No, back then, back in the 70s.
Oh, you would have.
Oh, do you?
Still would have?
Yeah, you would have. Once you're named in that 22.
Okay.
Or
that 20 back then.
Was back then.
Okay, that's interesting.
Credited, yeah.
That's a shit game to bloody be named as, don't you? That's like being, imagine being on the bench and you don't get onto the grand final.
Yeah.
How would you feel then? That's interesting.
Well, do you know what?
Feel then?
Well, do you know what?
Get on, or if you got on?
Say you were on the bench, you didn't get onto the grand final, you win it.
Well, guess what? That happened only 2 years ago.
To who?
James Jordan from Melbourne.
Did too?
What, he didn't get on?
Did not get on the ground, and yet he was given a premiership medal. He was part of the team.
Tell you what, you got to
not get on.
ask coach if he sits you there
Oh, no, not even
can't get you on for a couple of minutes.
And they were killing them.
Absolutely, they were like, what did they win by? 74 points.
Jeez.
So tell me,
know
how
that.
would you feel?
Yeah, you'd feel a bit let down, to be honest. I don't know if you'd...
Would you feel part of that?
Even just
You have
5
to feel
minutes.
part of it,
you feel part of it.
Even just 5 minutes.
Not the same. It wouldn't be the
Just
same.
5-10 minutes for the kid.
It can't be the same if you didn't get on.
Far out.
Yeah, it would have to be a bit difficult.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That didn't happen to you, right?
Now tell me, what were your earliest memories of your dad playing? Because you would have gone and watched him play, wouldn't you?
I never remember him actually playing at Carlton. I was only little tacker.
Okay.
I think he finished in 82, I think it was, or 81.
81.
I was born in 79, so I don't really remember it.
Oh, of course not. Yes,
But
sorry.
the one memory I do have is going to the football at Princess Park.
Right.
And I used to get put in the creche because we were only little.
Oh, yeah.
Mum wanted to go out and watch, so my brother and I used to get put in the creche, and
Right.
At the time, we didn't know who it was, but Stephen Silvani used to be looking after us. He was in his teens.
Stephen Silvani.
Yeah, he was in his teens, sort of.
Wow.
Used to come in, look after us. He'd go back out and watch, but he'd be the guy that sort of looked after us.
Well, he
here and there, in the
debuted back
creche.
in 1985, I think.
Yep.
So is that rather at the time 83, 84 maybe? You might have been 4 or 5 years old?
Yeah, I was born 79, so in the creche, 81, 82. Stephen Silvani was in his teens, sort of, but he'd be there watching his dad, obviously. And then
And you remember?
he'd pop down in the creche and look after us. And
Did he?
I don't really remember it, but I've
Visions of it.
We've had visions of it.
Right.
And,
It's kind of like one of those early memories. Kind of.
yeah, and it's been spoken about. Stephen used to reckon brother and I were a pest.
Oh, really?
So when I first met Stephen, when I went down to Carlton, it was one of the first
Okay.
things he said to me. So he goes, "I remember when you were a baby, you were a bit of a pest." I'm like, okay.
Now you're a bigger baby
I'm
Still a pest.
and still a pest.
Still a pest.
Oh, wow. So you did obviously, I didn't even think when I asked that question
Yeah.
about watching your dad play. It was obviously too early
Yeah, so I don't
for you.
recall
But
him playing.
did
Well,
you ever see any vision of him playing, like
Yeah.
videos and stuff like that?
Yeah, the funny, there's one, I don't know if you remember the Sevens Magic Moments.
Yes.
That video that's
Yes.
going around. It's Bruce
Yeah.
Doull lost his headband.
Yes.
That's
He's-
right.
My dad's in the background chasing the bloke.
Oh, yes.
They got his headband taken
Wasn't that,
off.
is it Kevin Ablett or, I think it was Kevin Ablett that
I don't
might
know
have
who it was,
taken,
but
one of the
you see
Ablett
him-
brothers.
You see me dad flashing around
Yeah.
the pack
Yeah,
trying to chase
yeah.
this bloke. That's one vision I've got of him in the Carlton days, but
Dooley used to get really fired up about it.
yeah.
It's the only thing he ever got fired up about.
headband.
But he actually overcame that after a while.
Yeah.
When anyone took his headband, he just reached into his sock and
grab
grabbed another one.
That's thinking ahead. Mate, that's why he was such a good player, man. He used to think ahead.
he was a
That's it.
smart player.
You always played since you were a kid, huh?
Footy's always been my go-to.
Now tell
since
us,
a kid.
who did you, even though your dad played for Carlton, did you follow Carlton?
Sort of, but not really. I followed
us about
Essendon as a kid.
Essendon.
Yeah,
Okay.
84, 85 is when I started to.
There's normally an influential person
Yeah.
that makes you follow some.
Yeah, my cousin Ashley, he's same
Right.
age as me.
Yep.
84, 85 is when I sort of started to
They were
know
flying.
what football was. I used to kick it as even younger, but that's when I knew what football was, and Essendon were winning flags, so
Yeah.
I jumped on that
Did the
bandwagon.
old man say? The old man doesn't say anything.
Well, he used to back for Essendon as a kid himself, so he was sort of
Oh, really?
okay. It is what it is. So,
That's unreal.
but I did have Carlton stuff up around the house
Right.
growing up,
Nice.
but yeah, my sort of main side was Essendon, and then
Well, isn't it
Carlton.
interesting that your first game of football was against Essendon,
Yeah.
and one of your most memorable games of football was against Essendon back in '99? So we'll go over that later.
Get to that goal.
But what about your junior days? Tell us about those. Where
junior
did you play
days.
footy?
Grew up playing at Laylaw. Played all my juniors at Laylaw.
A couple of good players come out of
Had
that.
a couple of good players come out of there. There's been a few over the years, yeah. Myself and Kuda. And,
Yeah.
Did Ange?
No, Ange wasn't there. Ange was
Alex
Brunswick.
Marcoux,
Oh, he was
Alex
Brunswick.
Marcoux,
Alex
Laylaw,
Marcoux.
Thomastown.
Thomastown
you know
too.
who else?
David Glascott, Thomastown.
Glasgow.
Yeah.
He told us how he got chased
No
by
way.
the Thomastown Sharks that day.
That's right.
Did
you know who they were?
I do remember those guys. I was a little kid because always growing up in Thomastown, Laylaw.
What were they called? The Thomastown
Thomastown Sharks.
Thomastown Sharks.
Yeah.
That sounds a bit intimidating.
Yes, I think they were as a kid when I was growing up. That's for sure.
Yeah, the Brody boys, there's tons of Sharks. I'm
Okay.
telling you, man, it was a dangerous time to walk the streets those days if you weren't associated with someone. Yeah, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
So there you go. So you grew up in the
Laylaw.
area, went to school in the
Laylaw, yeah.
area?
Mum and Dad were involved in the club.
In the Laylaw Football Club?
Laylaw Football Club, yeah. That's
Right.
Dad, after he finished playing at Carlton, went back and played at Laylaw. Mm-hmm. So he was sort of
Yeah.
on the coaching panel or
Yeah.
on the committee or always doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Laylaw was my junior club, and had some good times there.
Yeah. Were you always fairly good? Like, were you always, like, I know you don't want to say it, but were you
Yeah.
always?
Oh,
We were always regarded by
Yeah.
others as one of the
Yeah.
best players in the
That's a good
team.
way.
I did win a best and fairest at every level I played in. So I started under 11s. My dad, it was funny the story there. My dad wouldn't let me play under 11s until I was 10 years of age.
Really?
All my mates were playing when I was 7, 8, 9.
Did they want you to play when you were 7 and 8?
All my mates
Really?
did.
Wow.
Like, they had under 10s at Laylaw
Yeah.
and under 11s. I wasn't allowed to play under 10s, and I had to wait till I was actually
9.
10 years of age before I was allowed to play.
Wow.
So yeah,
So what
Dad
did
used to hold me
what
back.
did you do until then?
I was to be
Play Oz kick.
boundary umpire or water boy. I actually started my career as a boundary umpire for my older brother. So that's
Okay.
That was how I filled in my Sundays.
Wow.
Watching him play, and then
You must have been itching at the bit to
I
get out
was,
there.
and I was always at Dad, let me play, and he held his ground, so he didn't let me play. And at the time, I hated him for it, but looking back now, it was the best thing he ever done.
Right.
And I've done the same with my kids, so I held them back. So.
Yeah, we discussed that. Like sometimes they're just a bit too young to.
Yeah, well, a lot of my mates that I played with started when they were 7, 8, 9. By the time they were 15, 16, 17, they were burnt out. Didn't want to play footy anymore.
Yeah.
You know, because they probably, as Dad said, done it too early, done it too much of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Where I was sort of just getting the taste of it.
Yeah,
So
getting the taste of it, yeah.
just that held me back that little bit, which I didn't like at the time. Because as a kid,
At
you just
what
want
point
to play.
did you think, I reckon I might be good enough to play AFL football?
I never really thought it, to be honest. It's
Or
just,
did anyone tell you that they thought that you were capable of going into AFL?
No, Dad was pretty. He kept those things away from me, and just
Kept you grounded?
kept it grounded. Yeah.
Okay.
My coach throughout my junior career, I only had the one junior coach.
Right.
Bless his soul, Shane Courts. But
Okay.
he used to say I was going to get drafted, I was going to play football and that. But when I was a kid, I'm just like, I just want to play. Don't care.
Yeah.
Play for your mates.
Yeah, I just want to play with mates.
So
and
when
that.
did you play? Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings? Saturday
the
afternoon?
juniors were Sunday mornings.
Righto.
Yeah, Sunday mornings. But because my dad
Eventually-
played for Layla on a Saturday, all my
right.
mates, we used to go to that football and have our own little practice matches.
Yep.
During half time and quarter time and stuff like that. But the main game day was Sunday in the juniors. So.
Yep.
Yeah, some good Sundays.
And so when did Carlton come knocking?
Well, you were father-son,
I was father-son, yes.
That's weird. Was it 50 games, those?
50 games back then.
That was
yes.
50 games,
Yeah,
that's right,
Dad qualified 50 games, and I don't know. There was under 16s. I remember playing for Victoria or for Darebin, which was a Northern
Yep.
Knights squad, and I met Shane O'Sullivan at the time. He was the recruiting manager at Carlton. He was
Mate,
down.
he's always there and about. So
Well, there's another
He's
story.
very
There. He
good,
actually
Shane.
recruited my dad.
Back in the
Recruited my
day.
Dad back in the day. So then he got myself down there. So.
how old is he? Like he must be
Shane
like
O'Sullivan.
160 years old. Because he's always there, mate.
He's been around footy for
You'd be
ever and a day.
surprised. He was a very young man back in those
He was,
days.
yeah.
I don't want to suggest what his age might be, but
Nah.
put it this way:
He's been around.
in 1979, in that famous premiership that Alex Jeslenko was captain coach, I think
made
you'll
the
find he
move,
was
didn't he?
around there.
Yeah.
He made the move.
Yeah.
He told Thing to stay on the ground, didn't he?
Peter Brown.
Yeah, Peter Brown. Yeah.
When Jezza went off with his ankle injury,
Yep.
Brownie was ready to come off, and he said, "No, tell him to get back.
Yeah.
Tell him to go down to Jezza's position." So Brownie went from full forward to full back.
No, he was the recruiting manager for Carlton, and he was down at one game at Optus Oval, and then he came up and spoke to me after it. And
Yep.
at that time, I didn't know who he was.
Yep.
Yeah.
I knew of him, but I hadn't met him and all that time.
Right.
But
What did he say? Like, what happens there?
I just sort of said how I've been going. He's been watching me for so long. I'm like, okay, I didn't even know he'd been watching me and stuff like that. So he just said, continue on the way you're going, and you end up getting drafted. But
Are you pumped? Like, what happens there?
yeah, well, I went home after that game. I'm all excited, thinking, I'm going to get drafted. I'm going to get drafted. But
Yeah.
his story was, I had to keep working and had to do.
Now,
some
would
things.
you have been around about 15 maybe back then? Is that before you won the grand final? Because you won a pretty big grand final in '95, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Not only did Carlton win the AFL grand final, but your team that you played for.
Yeah, 95 Northern Knights. We won the
Yep.
grand final. I
That's right,
played
yeah.
majority of that season as a 15-year-old. Turned 16 at the end of that
Yeah,
year.
that's right. Yep.
I won the best and fairest in that year.
Yes,
so,
yeah.
Well done.
As a 15-year-old playing under 18s.
Unbelievable. How good's that?
Yeah, no, that was good. Those days, you
Yep.
could do that. And
Yeah.
I played as a back pocket player.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, in the 95.
So you weren't even playing centre half forward, or?
I didn't get drafted really as a forward. I got pretty much drafted as a back. I was
Right,
all Australian as a backman.
Right.
I was only in '96. I started as a backman. This is for Northern Knights.
Yes.
I broke my leg in a practice match.
Was that early in the season?
As a
or?
backman, it was a practice match. So I missed the first 6 games
Right.
of the '96 season. And just to get me back into some match fitness, the time Keith Burns was my coach.
Right.
Under 18 level, and he sort of just said, go forward for a bit till you get some match fitness, then we'll get you down back again. Mm-hmm. I went forward when I come back from the broken leg and kicked a few goals, kicked a few more goals, and he goes, no, you're staying there. So I played sort of probably 15 games as a forward before I got drafted, and that was it.
Yeah, you
Geez,
know.
if it wasn't for that broken leg, you may never have played as a forward.
Shano swears today he drafted me as a backman.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was only sort of, again, I've done all of my first pre-season at Carlton as a backman. In I think it was a practice match or something like that. Kernahan got injured.
Yes.
They swung me forward for the end of that practice match, and I kicked a couple of goals.
That's right.
So that was a practice match, and then round one came, and I started as a forward.
Exactly.
In my first game.
In the first game.
Yeah. And I've done all the pre-season as a backline player.
Yeah.
Because interestingly, your first season was almost like an overlapped season, wasn't it? The club was clearly looking for the next generation of forward to come through, because Kernahan was reaching the end. He was 34 years of age.
Yeah.
So was Spalding.
Yep.
So was Greg Williams. So was, I think Mill Hannah, that was his last year. Justin Madden retired halfway through that year. So there was clearly a changeover happening, and they got you in to play your first season under them.
Yeah.
What was it like playing under, when I say under, with those guys?
Oh, mate, Kernahan was the best bloke to walk into that club to and to meet, and he just basically took me under his wing and said, this is how it all works. And I'm like, Jesus, the guide of Carlton Football Club at the time,
You're not the
Stephen
first.
Kernahan, and I just absolutely idolised the guy, and he's a champion bloke.
Yep.
He'd done everything he could to get me to playing senior football, knowing I was possibly going to take his spot.
Yeah.
And it was I was in the right spot at the right time, I think. He got injured,
Yep.
so I didn't have to sort of push him out. He got injured and
He did.
finished. So,
He had a very injury-riddled final season.
yeah. But
So much so that he didn't even win the goal kicking that year. It was the only year that he played for Carlton that he didn't win the goal kicking.
Yeah, no, so
I think Cooter might have won it with 28 goals or something, but Sticks had a lot of injuries.
He done everything he could just to get me playing, and I couldn't think of anything more.
Everyone says. I haven't heard one bad word about
No.
Sticks. Everyone says what a
could
great leader he was.
can't.
Just.
But let's just go back to your first game. So you get drafted by the club, father-son rule. Now your dad played with number 7 on his back.
He did, yeah.
Unfortunately for you, even if you wanted to have that number, there was a bloke called Brett Ratton around at the time.
Yeah, so I think they gave him the locker next
So
door.
is that the one you date? Is that what happened? Basically gave you the one next door, or was that your choice to get number 8?
No, it wasn't my choice.
No?
I've done all my all the practice matches wearing and pre-season doing number 25.
Oh, really?
And I played the first couple of practice matches wearing 25, so I'm thinking that's going to be my number because that was the
that would
locker.
have been interesting, huh?
That was
Very
the locker they
interesting.
gave me, and then come round 1 or the week before round 1 when
Right.
they'd done the jumper presentation.
Bang,
Called
number
me up
8.
as number 8. I'm like, I didn't even know at the time that I was getting
Really?
number 8.
You didn't even know?
That's
No,
unreal.
so I've done it all.
Oh, you know what?
Number
I
25.
reckon that's a sign that they thought. Now, you might say, well, hang on, 25's an iconic Guernsey at Carlton with Jeslenko and later on with Favola, but they generally give the single-digit numbers to players that they think have got some big potential, don't they?
They try to
Yeah.
give him a lower number.
Probably, yeah. I've never really
Or what they call
taken
Hollywood
notice of that,
Boulevard.
probably.
In the locker room it's called Hollywood Boulevard, numbers 1 to 9.
So who were you next to? You were next to
Yeah, Ratton on one side.
He was on the other side.
At the time, Matt Clappe. It was
Clappe,
his
wow.
last season as well.
It was his last season. That's right,
number
it was his
6.
last one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I was sort of in between Ratton and Clappe at the time. So.
That's
Yeah,
right.
so you get to that first game.
Yep.
How do you feel?
Nervous as batshit, nervous as hell.
Yeah.
Hang on, Clappe was 6.
Yeah,
Who was
Clappe
number
was
9?
Number 9, Adrian Hickmont.
Adrian Hickman.
Hickman.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm
sorry,
thinking.
that was-
Yes, you're right too.
Adrian
Yeah,
Hickmont was
yeah,
number
yeah.
9.
He's another good bloke, bloody hell.
But get to that first game, I was nervous. Running out into that MCG, I remember it clearly. It was like it was yesterday. It's
Playing against the team that used to follow as a
83,000
kid.
people
Wow.
running out there, and just the noise that was made. I looked around thinking this grandstand's going to fall because I hadn't played in front of that many people before.
How did it feel playing against the team that used to follow
Wait,
as a
before
kid?
that, just sorry.
Yeah.
Just everyone doesn't. How old were you?
I was still 17 at the time.
Yeah.
You get that?
This is
You're
when...
still 17.
I was 17 right up until round 18, and I turned on round 18. I turned 18.
So you're like 17 and a half. You're running out an MCG, 83,000.
That's incredible, really. I mean, that just doesn't happen anymore, does it?
No, it's not allowed anymore. So you've got to be 18 to be drafted. So I was
So you're
pretty lucky.
So did you end up being the youngest player ever to get to 100 games?
I'm youngest
For Carlton?
player, youngest player at Carlton, and I think might be the third in the AFL.
Yeah, it was very close.
Yeah,
And I know
think
that- I know
Timmy
for-
Watson might be
Yeah,
first.
I know
think
you were
he
the
started with 16.
He was like 12 when he focused.
I'm the fastest one to get to 100, or the youngest to get to 100
Yeah.
at Carlton, and the second,
Second
To
fastest
200.
to 200.
Yeah.
The only person that beat you to that?
Robert Walls.
Robert Walls. That's it.
Those days there. Anyway, so you're 17, you run out.
Yep.
Stand's about to fall down. How does that, mate? Like
Pretty daunting as a 17-year-old.
Noise was unbelievable, and I actually looked at the grandstand thinking it's going to fall on me. So I was packing me decks.
But you played well.
I didn't start too well though. Like I was nervous. Didn't start too well. I remember, whether it's getting dragged or rotation, whatever it was back in those days, getting dragged. I remember going off without having a kick, coming back, and David Parkin grabbed me on the phone and said, "Mate, yeah, you're nervous. You look nervous. Calm down. You'll be right." No worries. Hang the phone back up. Went back out there, and that's when I just remember just leading one ball. Greg Williams had it. The next minute, I blinked. It was on my chest. I don't know how it got there.
Wow.
I remember leading to it, but there was arms and legs going
It's
everywhere.
handy having someone like him at the ball, isn't
Greg
it?
Williams just bang, and I just there it is. It's on my chest. So and then I went back and kicked
Kicked the goal.
first goal.
Far out.
Was that your first kick in football?
Yes, I believe I was.
So you've joined that elite club too?
Yeah.
Far out. I can't imagine like going back. How far out were you?
About 40 metres.
40
yeah,
going
35,
out
40
there.
Where
metres.
was this, at the punt road end?
City end, I reckon.
City end.
Yep, no, City end.
Mate, and you have to go back and, you're going to try to drill this, mate. I reckon the heart rate, I'd love to have heart rates right at that moment.
Oh,
there.
yeah, would have been sky high.
They would have had to bring a defibrillator out. Because his heart rate would have been going like
And
that.
then I remember a couple of minutes later, a similar thing happened.
Yep.
I got it and kicked another goal. So I'd had two in probably 6 minutes, but these were sort of halfway through the first quarter.
Yeah.
Into that, so it wasn't straight away.
So you got a couple of goals in the first quarter.
Got a couple of goals
Not bad.
early, and then I
Pretty
remember
good.
the second one. I was playing on Dean Wallace at the time. This hard man that played for Essendon.
Yes.
He was pretty tough and had a bit of a record. And I remember walking backwards to the goal square because I was coming out of the goal square.
Yep.
I remember him facing me, waiting for the ball up. I'm walking backwards. He's standing on my toes and just pushed me over. Stands over top me and says, "That's the last one you're going to be getting, son. You won't be getting another one." I'm 17-year-old, packing me decks, thinking, "Oh, this is it. He's not going to let me get another kick."
I'm done.
Yeah, so I was. Yeah,
You got the next one.
it took another quarter or two to get another one, and so.
Yeah, but you didn't say nothing back to him.
I didn't say nothing back to him. I was just thinking, this is how AFL football is.
Were you even later on? Did you chat? Were you
Not really. No.
You always be quiet.
Nah, just get out there and try to get the
All
job
of a
done.
sudden you felt like a small fish in a big pond.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did when Dean Wallace stood over top of me and said, "That's all the last one you're going to be getting today."
At Laylaw you would have been a big fish in a small
Yeah,
pond,
exactly.
but the other way around, yeah.
It's like going from primary school to
Yeah,
high school.
that's right.
Grade
Yeah,
6.
yeah.
Grade 6 you feel like you're king of the
Sort
school.
of, it's a similar thing, yeah.
Year 7?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You end up kicking 4, don't you?
Yeah, I ended up kicking 4 for the first game. So.
And you would have to be one of the only players, maybe the only player, I don't know, I'm not really sure, but you got a Rising Star nomination in your very first game of football.
I did, yeah. I was,
Fantastic effort.
Nominated straight away, which was I'm pretty
4
excited
goals
about
in your
that.
first game?
4 goals. Yep. I don't know how many marks or kicks.
Do you remember
but
how
it's
it
just 4
felt?
goals?
Do you remember how it felt
I think
even
it was
to?
9 marks.
Was it?
Yeah.
I think we had a narrow loss that day. I think we might have lost
I
by 7
I
points.
couldn't even tell you. I can't even
because
remember.
It's not like I'm a nuffy and I remember these things, but I did look it up and we lost by 7 points.
Yeah.
It was a narrow loss.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But you played very well.
Yeah, I remember.
Do you remember going out for the first time, like in your very first game of football? Can you describe for us what that's like?
Yeah, as I said before, I thought the grandstand was going to fall on top of me.
Running through the banner? Do
Running
you
through the
remember
banner, yeah. I remember sort of growing up, I always used to read the banners and look at the banners and see what they said. I didn't like to be first one to touch the banner because
you were one of them, yeah?
I wasn't superstitious, but I was just, I'd seen people sort of get collected and I'm like, I'm not going to do that on my first game. I'll watch other people
Let
get
them
collected.
break the banner first and I'll just run through.
So
yeah.
I was one that used to sort of try and hang at the back a little bit.
Okay.
You know, in the rooms, what's your routine before a game?
Yeah, I never really had a set routine. I know my wife tells me now that on the way to games I was an angry man and, or not angry, but just didn't want to talk. And I was pretty focused, she reckons, and I had to have certain music on, but I don't remember having certain music. I knew I liked music on.
Yeah.
But no, my wife tells me it used to be the same music played all the way in.
Is that right?
That's unreal.
Yeah. But I've never done it probably on purpose. It was probably just push play on a cassette or something back those days, CD, whatever it was.
Cassettes, so we used to listen to music on a cassette.
And big shout out to the lovely Rhiannon, your beautiful wife, who you've had 2 kids with too.
Yeah, 2 kids that are 22 and 20 at the moment. So
unbelievable. You must have started very early.
Yeah, got in there early, yep. I think it was 21.
Yeah.
21 when I had my first child. So
fantastic.
Yeah, got into it.
Great. So, you played your first game of footy. What was the rest of that season like?
Well, looking back on the season, I was fortunate enough. I played 18 games in my first season out of the 22.
That's huge for a first-year player.
Yeah, I got dropped.
Who's basically 17 years of age, most of it.
Sort of halfway through, I think I got dropped for the first time and went back and played in reserves. And
how did that feel?
No one ever wants to get dropped, but
you upset, angry?
No, not so much upset.
Did you accept it as part of your
accept it as part of it, and as probably I think when I got dropped, Parkin was telling me at the time that no one's ever sort of gone through their first season pretty much without getting dropped. It's part of it and part of the learning, and that's sort of, I remember what he's saying to me. Go back and learn a few things, and so my first game back in the reserves, I went back and kicked 8 goals. So that stint in the reserves didn't last too long. So I straight back up.
Back in.
Yeah,
was it one game in the reserves?
It was one game, and then played another 4, then dropped again. And I've done a similar thing, kicked a lot of goals in reserve. So I only ever went back in my first year for 1 game at a time.
Right.
And sort of then up for a couple back. So I ended up playing 18 in the first out of 22 in the first year. So
nice, it's a good start, man. And 18
pretty
games,
lucky,
you get the rising star. You know, you get a good interaction. Do you feel part of? How do you feel at the end of that year? You get, you know, like, I'm part of like.
Yeah, well, definitely playing 18 games. I thought, I've got to do a big pre-season and hit the gym because I was only still a kid. So, I was only a skinny kid, and I knew, I had to, if I was going to play regular seniors, I had to bulk up a bit. So, the next couple of seasons and pre-seasons, anyway, that was spent a lot of time in the
We were excited as fans, I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, no, it was
seeing you play, man. We were excited, man. We just won a premiership a few years back, and we come, and then you come along, and that first game, I'm telling you, we were excited.
There was another guy who played alongside you there, pretty much in a key position type role. You two formed a real good sort of Batman and Robin type team, and that's Aaron Hamill.
Aaron Hamill, yes.
Yeah. You guys really gelled well together back then.
I was a very disappointed man when the news broke that he was leaving us and going to St Kilda. We got along really well. We worked together really well. Done a lot of training together. Where worked on each other's game.
It's a pity the way
we just complimented each other when we played, and that was devastating news when that came across.
We used to, like you're saying that, and we've got that now with Charlie and Harry, kind of the 2 big forwards, you know what I mean? So when you're at training and that, I'm sure everyone's got their own drills as a team and that. What do you use? Do you work on anything yourself?
Yeah, just we did a lot of leading and sort of when someone was going to go, sort of, where they were going to go, and then the other one could work in behind them and that kind of stuff. So.
And that's important, like Lee, not get in his way.
Oh yeah, it's the more you play together and the more you train together, that cohesion comes.
Yeah.
And I think Charlie and Harry are starting to get that now.
A little bit now,
There's been some media probably early this year, maybe that they were getting in each other's way a little bit. Got to remember they hadn't played many games together. Charlie had been injured, and
is it also that they're trying to like maybe establish themselves? You know what I mean? So they probably get each other in each other's ways. Where when you're established. You can do that dummy lead or open up space.
Yeah, there's no doubt that happens. No doubt, and they're getting in sync with each other now. The more you see them play, the less times you see them crashing into each other. They're working it out. So
you've made a good combination. The Hamill and the Whitnall.
Loved it. He used to be the tackler, so he'd go and tackle.
He was tough.
He'd turn the ball over, and I was at the back. So that's.
He did show some great leadership back in those days.
He was.
Didn't he?
And he had to work hard to get his spot. So when he got there, he worked hard for it, and he was awesome to play around.
Well, you continued to develop and continued to kick goals pretty much as a centre half forward through those years, 97, 98, 99.
What a year that was, hey?
What a year.
That one game.
Well, it all ended up with
that.
that game. But coming up to that year, we haven't been travelling all too well, but that 99... Not a breakout year, but it was a good year, wasn't it?
But you had good years leading up, because I mean you won leading goal kicker too for a couple of those years, didn't you?
Yeah, 98 I reckon. I think I won it.
Yep.
And I think I won it 99.
99.
So I was.
And you definitely won it in 2000. I think you kicked something like 70
something
goals.
High 70s, and got in the final series got into the 80s. So yeah, that was
There you go.
Yeah, so
no, that was definitely a good
that
year.
99 year, that was definitely a good year for the Blues. You know what I mean? We come out, we make finals.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how the final system worked back in those days, but I think we lost the final and still got through. So
Yeah, what it was
pretty
was that
fortunate.
Was it the West Coast?
no. What happened is that we lost our first qualifying final, but because we had the double chance,
Okay.
we played West Coast the
That's what I'm
following
saying.
week.
Yep.
But because of the rules being we have to have one final in Melbourne at
Yep.
the MCG, even though it was a West
Yeah.
Coast versus Carlton game,
It was at the G.
it was at the G,
Yep.
and we beat them.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
Do you remember that final?
I do. Yes. Yeah.
And then we played, because we beat them in the semi-final, then we came up against Essendon in the preliminary final.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then North Melbourne played Brisbane. It was Brisbane that thrashed us in the first final.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yep.
Right?
They did.
Yeah.
They really
Yeah.
did take us
Yeah.
apart,
Yeah. So it was
as
sort
they
of a
generally
strange-
do at the Gather.
Train.
And then
But
we got
there.
We got to the 99 prelim, and no one
Yeah.
gave us a chance because
Yeah, right.
obviously we hadn't gone great in the finals. But
And
we-
Essendon had
we'd
beaten
done
us
our
pretty
job.
badly earlier that year too.
I've got no doubt now, like, even then, that they were the best side that year.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that Essendon were the best side in '99. And coming up to that game, I remember no one gave us a chance.
No.
Only pretty much the team, we sort of, let's give it a crack. We've got a chance. But I remember the media and all the Essendon supporters.
No one. It was like
What was Parkin's tactics that day? Do you recall was it just play free flowing football the way you want, or was there some tactical moves throughout the day?
We had a bloke by the name of Anthony Koutafidis in that side. So pretty much
that was a tactical
pretty
move.
much the tactic was get the ball in his hands. So,
Well, it wasn't the
He was
last
marking
quarter, that's for
everything.
sure.
In the last quarter.
I mean,
What a quarter.
Cooter was telling us, because we interviewed him, he was just itching to get into the midfield.
Yeah, he was.
Just
He was.
itching, and then finally the call came, okay, go
And
in
he
there.
didn't
go.
say
Let him
anything,
go.
but he
No.
was just sitting there going, put me in that
Yeah.
midfield.
Yeah, he was
No,
almost too
that
shy
was-
and bashful to ask Parkin to put him in the midfield.
Now, we
was one of our
started
tactics.
that. Oh, we'll talk about that game. We started that game well, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah, from
Yeah.
memory, we got off to a bit of a good start,
start.
and then they pegged us back
Yes,
and
they
got
did.
out in front of us. So we were sort of catching up a little bit. But after, I think at quarter time, I reckon we were in front.
Yeah.
Half time we were in front.
Half-time in front.
And then
But then they had a third quarter.
Quarter, I think they got it out to
blitzed.
18, 19 points, something thereabouts anyway. And yeah,
I think they were still 2.5 goals or something up at 3/4 time, and then all of a sudden we came back.
So when you're in front at half time, so you go into the rooms, I'm just thinking, right, you go in the rooms, you go, oh guys, we've got to keep on going, we've got a half a footy to go. I don't know what you're saying, but I'm sure it's along those lines, right?
Along those lines, yeah.
And then third quarter, they come out and they kind of blitz.
Yeah.
They did.
They do. And then what's your feeling at 3/4 time when they've blitzed? How could we let that bloody lead go?
Yeah, I mean,
Were you
can't
feeling
do-
flat
yeah.
and dejected, or were
Probably
you
a
feeling
little-
like, no, we're still close enough to win this?
we probably believe that we were still close enough to win it.
Yeah.
But probably deep down we were thinking, the better side's now taking over. Let's just have a crack and see what happens. But we thought we sort of gave them a good run for their money.
Yeah.
They come out third quarter and put their foot down and showed who was a better side. And we're probably thinking at the time, the better side. They are the better side.
Yeah.
Let's go and
The
have a
crucial
crack in the last
thing
quarter and
was-
see what happens.
The crucial thing was that we got the first goal of the last
We did,
quarter,
yeah.
and then
And then
all of a
just-
sudden you could just feel that the players were believing
You
again.
could just sense as that quarter got longer and longer, the boys were just getting that belief that saying something could happen here and something could happen. So,
So there was a
and that
couple
something
of-
could happen. Did happen.
It did happen. There was a couple of goals there by the two forwards, right? You and Hamill. I think Hamill was the first one.
Yes,
And you
yeah.
kicked the second one. So that first one, Hamill pretty much takes the mark. He goes back and kicks the goal. Nice. But you take a mark. You were like 85 metres out.
That's what I say now. Anyway,
So you take this mark, but I noticed, man, your eyes were darting. You were looking for something, weren't you?
yes, I was looking for that man, Anthony
Yeah.
Koutafidis, and I could see him. He was floating down the other wing.
Yeah.
So sort of in my mind, I'm like, I'm right on my range here. I'm going to wait till he gets to the goal square. If I don't make it, at least Cooter can mark it because he was marking everything.
Yeah.
So that was sort of what was going through my head. So I was trying to look around, wait, trying to wait till he got there was sort of mainly what I was thinking. So just thought I'll give it everything and
Mate.
put it up into that MCG swirling wind.
It did, and it kind of comes.
just-
It had a bit of right to left swirl about it.
A lot of
Didn't
my
it?
kicks had a right to left about it, but especially at that MCG there. It's,
Do you know we saw a kick last week between Port Adelaide and Essendon? Did you see Dan Houston's goal after the siren?
I've seen
It
highlights
looked
of it.
so much like your kick.
It was pretty much from the same spot.
Same
I mean,
spot.
It was, yeah.
And also had that right
Right
to
to
left
left,
swirl,
and just got over the line. And
Yeah.
And
And happened to Essendon again.
Again, yes.
And it was like both kicks, like your kick, like you lined up, but you kind of pretty much let's do this, and you just kind of started running, and you just like planted that foot. You banged it.
Yeah, banged it.
It was a banger.
And I just hit the sweet spot. So it was just like the driving iron. Get the driver out, and hit that sweet spot, and away it went.
That was good. That was when we were pumped, man. You must have been pumped.
Well, it was funny. I don't know, my celebrations with that one. I don't recall. I do recall doing it, but I know the members were over there, and I know when I was having that shot, I could just hear all the members just going at me, and then just the heat of the moment, I turned to the members and
you did
gave them a bit of thank you. So,
thank you very much.
Yeah.
It was great. I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it.
That was fantastic.
It was one of the best celebrations after a goal.
Did that put us in front, did it?
No, that put us 7 points up.
Yeah, we already had the lead, but that goal made it look like, hey,
Actually,
we're going to be
up.
really hard to beat now.
You're right.
They put us at that point at 8 points up. So that was sort of, and it was only like 3 minutes to go. So around then, so we knew they had to kick 2 goals.
So what do you think now? 3 minutes to go, as yourself, right? What do you think? What do you think?
Do you defend that, or do you try and kick another one?
We tried to defend it.
Oh, I thought so.
I think you do.
We knew that.
Do you think it might have been a bit early or not?
It probably was, because it didn't take them long, and Mark Johnson went down and kicked the goal.
Yeah.
He was another young kid at that time too.
He
so
was,
we played underage football against each other a lot. So he was around the same age. So he went down and kicked a goal, which put him back to 2 points.
Yes, correct.
And we just tried to defend the hell
And
of
then
it.
luckily, a guy who normally never misses, called Mark Mercury,
He missed the sitter.
missed the goal that he normally would have got 99 times out of 100.
Easy. With his eyes closed.
Mate, I'm telling you.
Mercury!
Yeah.
One behind.
So I was sitting behind those goals exactly, and that ball was at slow motion.
Yeah.
The way I was like every bounce. Where you just went like,
it bubbled and it bounced. And,
And then I'm thinking, all right, all we have to do now is just take a mark and hold it. If we can hold it for 10 seconds, we're done here. But
I think we cleared it out and got it to that man Dean Wallace in the middle.
You know who kicked it to him?
Dean Rice.
Dean Rice. We interviewed him, and he said he was the one who kicked it out.
He said if he had got past Fraser Brown and kicked it, it would have been on Dean Rice.
Talking to him about that kick the other week, actually. I ran into him and he said,
"Oh, really?
Yeah." He said he kicked it down the middle because he knew everyone was out on that. Essendon blokes were out on that wing because they tried to keep it in there. Thought he'd kick it down the middle where there'd be no one. Well, if there was someone there.
But there was Wallace, but then there was this other bloke, right? There's no way they were going to get past him.
Yeah, called Fraser Brown.
They're never getting past him.
Yeah, that was junkyard dog, I mean.
And funnily enough, it was Brown who kicked the first goal of the last quarter to give us that hope to get back again. So anyway,
he
had a big day.
Yeah, that was a good tackle. And once that tackle hit, and then ended up in Murphy's hand.
It's amazing how many Carlton supporters you talk to about the most memorable game, their favourite game. It's that one. It's not even the grand final. It's that game.
It's not even Essendon Carlton supporters that talk about it. It's AFL people in general. To me, that's the most talked about game in history.
Yeah.
Anytime people talk to me about football, it's always about that 99 prelim.
Yeah, because of the underdog status, because of those moments, you know what I mean?
So we seem to, as Carlton supporters, get a bit of satisfaction, even though we never won the grand final. We stopped them from winning one.
We probably thought we won the grand final.
Did you feel at the time like we're spent, this was our grand final? Did you go into the grand final the following week thinking we can win this?
At the time we definitely did, but hindsight now, we spent our petrol tickets in that game. There's no doubt about that. And, at the time, we're thinking, we can get up for in a week's time and play again because that's what we've done every week.
Well, you played really well in the 99 prelim, as we've just discussed your big goal there too. But how do you reckon you went in the 99 grand final? Have memories of that?
I do, yes, because I remember playing on Glenn Archer, who
pretty tough opponent.
In '96 had won the
Norm Smith medal. Correct.
So I remember playing in that 99 grand final, playing on Archer, thinking, oh, Jesus, this is going to be a really tough day.
Tough day at the office.
Every time I'd played on him previously, I rate him to this day as my hardest player that I played on.
Right.
It was tough.
And back then he was flying, so I knew I was going to be in for a tough day.
Yeah.
Oh, I did okay actually. So I was,
I think you did pretty well.
Yeah, kicked a few goals.
You must have thought we're up against it now when Justin Murphy went down with his knee injury that day.
Yeah, that was pretty early too, I think.
It was very early, and we were relying on him for quite a few goals that year.
No, he was one of our goal kickers and an excitement machine.
Silky skills. Yeah.
I think we had a couple injuries come out of that game, but
Do you know we actually ended up with the same amount of scoring shots as North Melbourne?
In the end, yeah.
Unbelievable, isn't it? 19-10 to 12-17.
Yeah, and I think
We were lost by 35 points, and clearly after half time they
I think it's one of those
they
games,
put us to the sword.
Yeah, one of
but
those games. Looking back now, we never felt like we were in it.
No,
we're always trying to chase tail,
chasing the game.
Yeah, chasing the game, and they were always in control of it.
Yep.
And as a supporter, so I went to both of those games. That 99 grand final, didn't feel as bad. Like I went to the 93.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk for like a week. But the
Losing
99,
to
it was
Essendon.
like.
It was probably because no one expected us to be there in the first place. So it was
is
sort
that how you
probably,
used I know it'd be different because you want to win a grand final. You're actually in charge, but
Yeah, no.
That night at the dinner, like you always have a grand final
after
dinner,
dinner, yep.
was there the same sort of, I suppose you hadn't played in a winning one, so it's hard to compare, but did you sense that there wasn't as much disappointment as you would have expected after losing a grand final?
Probably. In hindsight, you're thinking, wasn't expected.
You did well to get there.
And probably me being a young bloke at the time, thinking, there's going to be more opportunities, going to be plenty more opportunities.
Well, that's it, because you'd only just turned 20.
Yeah. So thinking,
he didn't even have his 21st birthday yet.
That's true.
He probably won 3, leading goal kicker awards.
A lot of our younger players who miss out on the grand final that say the same thing. I've got another 8.
Got another few opportunities, but that was it. Didn't get another opportunity.
And that's the thing, So 2000 was a really good year for us.
2000 was probably your best year.
Yeah, close. Yeah, thereabouts. So it was probably one of my most consistent years anyway. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, you played brilliantly. In fact, again, I think it was the last year that you and Aaron Hamill were playing together.
Yeah, he left the end of
2000.
I think he may have. Did he? I can't remember. It might have been
I'm pretty sure it was the end of 2000
Was it
that he left.
2000 or was it?
No,
it wasn't the end of 99, was it?
No, I think it was.
No.
I think
No. He played another year. It was the number 4, in fact, in 2000.
All right.
In 99 he wore 36.
Yeah.
In 2000 he wore number 4. And I think you'll find he went to St Kilda at the start of 2001.
All right. Anyway, it wasn't long.
Anyway, fact of the matter is, you had a great year.
Yeah.
You kicked, as you said, up into the 80s in terms of the number of goals by the end of the year.
Yeah, got into the 80s in the final. So it was,
And you made the All-Australian team, one of the youngest ever.
I did. I remember that. I was actually named on the bench because I was playing centre forward for all that year. But there was some bloke by the name of Wayne Carey at centre forward. So
he's not a bad player.
No, he's not a bad player. I was just probably the best I've seen anyway.
Yeah, that's it.
So I was happy to be
in the team.
I was happy to be on the bench as a All-Australian because centre forward Wayne Carey, captain of the All-Australian.
Of course, naturally. And of course, you were also weren't you also picked in the Victorian team?
Yeah, that was 2001. I think it was.
2001, was it?
Yeah.
Because they didn't play it in 2000. I remember they played it in 99.
Okay.
They didn't play it in 2000. And then they didn't play it again, I don't think. And because the year I got picked was the first year they stopped playing. Also,
right.
Whatever year it was the first year. So I got a jumper and a plaque given to me, but I didn't get to run out there.
Didn't get to play.
Disappointing for me because I would have loved to have gone out there and played. I know.
Again, with all those stars,
Yeah, it's a bit of a talking topic at the moment where players don't want to do it, but geez, I would have given anything to play
for the
Victoria.
big V.
Yeah, it's different, isn't it? Those days there, like I felt like those Victorian, those interstate games were so important.
Yeah, I reckon I loved them growing up as a kid.
And everyone wanted to play them. Which remember it was on the Tuesday night. Was it on the Tuesday?
Pretty much.
We used to play a lot of times.
Pretty much,
like bloody Adelaide.
Yeah, we'd play South Australia and over at Footy Park, which was the old Amy Stadium, and
so they stopped it then for a period of time, and they brought it back for a while, but
it just didn't kick off anymore.
And I think footy and the clubs have got too big now, and it's they don't want to lose their best players.
They want to protect their best players.
But I think if you ask the players, they'd love to do it.
They'd love to do it.
Yeah.
But I would have loved to.
I understand about protecting players, right? But it's a footy game.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to get injured, you're going to get injured regardless.
Exactly,
So, probably there's a lot of money involved now.
A lot of money, but they've got to probably find the right time slot to do it now. But
when you do it, you can't do it at the start.
Nah, but
at the end, everyone's injured and that.
Maybe
when is the right time?
They should do it in the middle of the year. Give everyone a bye, and that bye round is when you do the state game.
Well, that's what they did there for a little while.
Yeah. But the problem is, again, they're not wanting to give up players to play up, and then you haven't got the best out there.
Blokes want to have a rest, and
And then at the end of the season, it's all over. Someone's won the grand final.
What a woke,
if you did a carnival in October, no one would be there.
What a world, mate! Just get out there, play footy.
I agree.
They could probably try it as a sort of a practice match pre-season.
Yeah.
But
Maybe.
again, if someone gets injured, then they're missing the
whole
season.
season.
One person, if one star gets injured, the whole talk will come out. Why are we
Yeah, but
doing
you look at the rugby, how they go about it.
Well, I was
it's
just
part of
gonna
it.
say, I
They
mean,
build it. It's part of it.
When you look at New South Wales and Queensland state of origin in the rugby,
No, it's huge.
no one seems
But
to
It's bigger than the game. It's
they've
bigger
grown up
than
with
almost
it.
the premiership.
Well, they look forward to that just as much as the premiership.
Absolutely,
And it's probably something you've got to build over time. And
Yeah.
AFL probably haven't built it.
Well, we
They did
were
have, but it's
building
gone.
and then we stopped, and now to rebuild it, we've got to start again from almost scratch. Yeah, but anyway.
Getting back to the year 2000, you had a real purple patch
Yeah.
right in the middle of the season. I think it might have been round 14, 15, 16, around there.
Yep.
I think you kicked 6 goals against Geelong.
Yeah,
Then you kicked 6 goals again the next week against Adelaide.
yeah.
And then you kicked 9. Was that the most you'd ever
9.
kicked in a game against Brisbane?
It was, yes. Yeah, there was
Wow,
up
that's
the
huge.
Gabba.
That's 21 goals in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I remember there's a little bit of story about that actual game itself, the Brisbane game. Yeah, as you said, I had a couple of good weeks leading up to it.
My word.
Brisbane were pretty good at the time. There's a bloke, Jared Malloy,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
played for Brisbane. He made the front page of the Herald Sun down here.
Yep.
But his comment was, because I was in such good form, he wanted to play on me.
Right.
So big heading, Malloy wants Whitnall.
Right.
And for some reason, our guys at Carlton got a hold of that and put it all around the rooms. Put it all around our change rooms. I walked in one day and there it is, and on everyone's locker.
So
Had
you're-
a bit of fun about it. This is midweek. Everyone had a bit of fun about it, and I'm like, oh. Anyway,
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking he's going to come and play on me.
Yeah, all right.
He's going to come and play on me because he's obviously made a big headline that he wants to come and play on me, and turns out he did. So go up to
Did
Brisbane.
you prepare for that?
I had, yeah, because I had a feeling he was going to play on me because the headlines. But yeah, so I've done a little bit of homework.
What homework? Do you just have a look at?
Back to even more so now, but you can
How we
get
used to play.
videos and stuff on sort of how they play and
Yeah.
what they do and
Pick
don't
a
do.
few deficiencies, a few weaknesses
Okay,
in his
okay.
game.
So
And
you were
because
ready.
our boys are aware of it, they just wanted to get me the footy as well. So I had a pretty good day, and I think 6 or 7 of them were on him, and then they made a.
Did he ever get
change.
shifted off you?
He got shifted.
Oh, that's
That would have been
He got
embarrassing for
shifted
the
after
poor bloke.
5 or 6, I think. So
was sick.
Well,
Yeah,
one
that
thing,
was good.
one thing that everyone's always said about you is that you've got a really sharp football brain. You
know,
read the game well.
Yeah.
You always used to be able to put yourself in the right position at the right time, and that you were a really good reader of the play.
yeah, I don't know. I'd have to thank my dad for that one. Something you couldn't train. I was just
Just
natural. Yeah,
instinctive?
just
Yeah.
instinctive. And
It has to be.
Yeah,
Like
it's-
where the ball's going to be, or like you're just starting to read the.
Yeah.
But I agree with that. You were one of the smartest footballers
You
out
always
there.
found yourself in a good.
well, I found I wasn't blessed with leg speed, so I probably had to try and find something else, which was going to
Yeah.
get me
It's a bit
some
like Greg
advantage.
Williams. I mean, you look at Greg
Yeah, it
Williams.
was, yeah.
Short, stumpy, can't kick over a jam tin, but boy,
seemed to get
what a
35
player.
every week, 40
Yeah,
every week.
exactly,
so
yeah.
you probably find other ways in your mind
Yeah.
to help yourself get the footy. So
But
you're
he had a sharp mind.
looking
too,
for little
that's what I mean.
keys and
You
little
said you
cues.
weren't quick, but far out. You could kick a ball.
Yeah,
You
kick a
could
ball.
kick, yeah.
yeah.
And you could take a mark. So
I probably wasn't quick in terms of a 100-metre sprint,
Yeah.
but I think my first 5 metres were.
well, with a lot of big forwards too, like
That's all you need sometimes.
That's all you need
Yeah,
because
yeah.
even if you aren't quick, if you're the first to
You
take
just
off,
got to have
you're
that
always
advantage and that timing of the
Yeah.
lead, sort
Yes.
of probably compensated for
That's
the
where you
lack
gotta
of
go.
leg speed.
That's
If
where
you
you
do
go.
it at the right time, the backman
Yeah.
has got to wait for you to move before he can move.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, no, it's probably something that came natural, I suppose.
No, you did
Well,
it
that
well.
year promised so much. We even had a winning streak of, I think, 13 games at one stage. Then all of a sudden we got a couple of key injuries in a huge game against Essendon.
Again,
Yeah.
Cooter and Bradley both went down with injuries early in that game. We lost that game, and it seemed to all sort of fall off the rails a little bit after
Yeah,
that.
I think that's when injuries really started
Yeah.
to rock us, and I think every.
I
game
think we were the
played
only
was
team
injuries.
that were ever going to be a challenge to them that year, because they were on a mission after losing that 99 preliminary
They
final.
weren't going to lose another one. That's
They
for
were
sure.
on a mission, and I think that we were realistically the only team that would have been able to stop them. I know Melbourne made the grand final, but
Yeah.
they got towed up.
They had a really good team that year.
Yeah.
They had a
reckon-
real good team.
Cooter going down again. I find myself I was actually on, like, he must have been from here to there when he did the injury. He knocked knees with Johnson, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I saw
But
that.
seriously, can you imagine in 2000, if we had been able to maintain a full list, no injuries to Cooter or Bradley and all that, and
Give ourselves a chance. I'll tell you that.
play in a grand final against Essendon in 2000, can
big
you
that
imagine
would've
that?
Sure.
That would have been an absolute rip snorter of a grand
Yeah, it
final.
would've been.
But anyway, we can only imagine that.
Yeah, exactly.
So Parkin steps down at the end of 2000. He'd had 10 years in a row at Carlton as senior coach.
Yep.
But it's pretty true that he'd already really handed
Yeah.
down the reins to Wayne Britton, maybe
Yeah.
even a year or two before that.
I reckon.
Is that true?
99 and 2000.
99.
From my personal
He did.
belief, I think Wayne Britton was doing a lot of the
Match day stuff.
match day stuff, and even during the week.
Yeah.
Parkin
Parkin
was
was
overseeing
more of
it.
a spokesperson,
Yeah.
do the media stuff
Doing all
and
the
all
media,
that.
and you'd oversee our program and
Sure.
how we're training, and
Sure.
take some training, but
Yeah.
a lot of it was done by Wayne Britton. So
Yeah.
it was sort of a smooth transition.
I remember
really.
the headline
Everyone
once
just
in the
knew straight
paper,
away.
who's really coaching
Yeah,
Carlton? You know? Obviously, you guys warmed to Brits as well. You quite liked the way he coached. A
Oh,
lot of your teammates speak very highly of him.
I personally, I mean, I got David Parkin at the end of his career when he sort of,
Yep,
winding down a little bit.
Yep, yep.
He'd done all the hard yards, so he'd sort of stepped back a little bit. Wayne Britton, to me, personally, I think he was the greatest coach I've had.
You know
He was
what?
good.
You're not the first player that said that. They said they talk about lads having like the footy brain, right?
Yeah, he had a footy brain.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed his
amazing.
coaching philosophy.
So really, the fact that we finished on the bottom of the ladder in 2002, which was his second year, that was surely through being cruelled with injury all year. We had that many
you go
injuries.
back through that year, all our key players were getting injured.
Yeah.
Everyone kept breaking down, and
So when they decided to sack him and bring on Dennis Pagan, they obviously never asked the players whether they thought he was the problem.
Back then, they wouldn't ask the players at all because, I mean, it was the first time Carlton ever won a wooden spoon. So in their mindset, it's just like,
And you know what
we've
else?
got to make a change.
Certain individuals were worried about their own futures and
Yep.
felt like they had to make
Yeah,
changes.
so they weren't going to stand for a wooden spoon. That didn't matter what excuses it was.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
know inside that we had a heap of injuries, and
Yeah.
every week we went out there was a different injury, and they were big long-term injuries. They weren't, hamstring or anything like
you
that.
played the majority of that year.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
What were the biggest differences that you saw between the Carlton side that was making the finals in 2000 and 2001 versus that year? Why did it all just sort of fall apart?
Injuries.
I think it was that.
Apart from that,
No, I think
was there
it
anything else?
Injuries. No.
Just inexperienced players coming in.
Yeah, getting inexperienced players coming in, losing injuries for 5, 6,
Yeah.
8 weeks at a time to
Cooter.
key players that were.
Yeah.
Cooter went down in the 2001 semi-final
I reckon he
against
was in his
Richmond that
prime
we
then.
lost.
I reckon that 2000 he was in his prime. So
Yeah.
91, 2000, and
Yeah.
then 2001 he goes down.
Yeah.
It wasn't his own, but there was a heap of others. So I think it was a lot of injuries and just Carlton weren't going to stand for getting a wooden spoon, so someone had to go.
We got
Yeah.
all the draft,
Yeah.
taking offers, and
Yeah, then all
Pagan
that caught up
comes
with us.
in.
So Pagan comes in. So tell us what that was like.
Oh, at the time we think it was great because he was recognised at the time as the
Yeah,
best
yeah.
coach in the
Going
land. So we were thinking, how good's this? He's going
Because he
to.
coached North to 2 premierships.
Yeah, he's gonna-
But you would have been sad to lose Brits.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I was very sad because I loved him. He
Yeah.
was a great coach and
you-
great bloke.
As players, it's not your fault. Do you feel a little bit
Yeah, of course.
guilty
Yeah.
that you lose a coach? Do you start kind of blaming?
You start blaming yourself or
Do you?
and each other a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah. You start
That's
sort
funny.
of probably pointing fingers at certain individuals and
Yeah, that's interesting.
you start.
Yeah, how
do
dare you
inside,
get injured?
Yeah, you should have got it.
Or stop playing for yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
things
yeah.
like
Yeah.
What are
Yeah,
you doing?
yeah.
And you
Yeah.
start probably bickering with each
Yeah,
other. Yeah,
there's no doubt that goes on, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
probably a natural part of life,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
So,
So, okay, so Dennis Pagan comes in. You're all excited. You
Yep.
think you're getting the best coach in the
well,
land,
when
or
we
one of
signed
them.
Dennis Pagan, we hadn't been struck with our
That's right.
our salary
right.
caps.
So you're getting
Very
two.
good. Yeah.
You're getting one.
So
and
we're
two.
thinking we're getting the best coach in the land at the time.
Plus picks 1 and 2.
Plus we're getting all that. We're thinking, we're going to turn this around quick smart.
We thought we were going to get Goddard and Wells
Yes,
through the door,
Yeah, we were. And then
and didn't
When
happen.
do you
the AFL
hear
decided
about-
something different.
When do you hear about that? Like there's the penalties because there was talk about it, then there was the whole investigation.
Yeah, it was sort of pretty much the same as the general
Same as
public,
us,
really.
yeah.
Like we'll hear about it in the, getting what are they going to do, or we didn't know. Or
Yeah.
might be some ideas that they were going to throw up.
Yeah.
That the AFL were going to do, and no one picked what they actually did.
Nah, that was harsh, man. That was harsh.
And when it actually hit, we only found out through the media and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's sort of just, well, this is it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
And then Pagan sort of took control, and we started getting players from other clubs and that have sort of played, and probably some of them good enough, some of them not good enough. Yeah. But we're just trying to make up the side, and you think, oh, this is all right. They've played, they've got some experience, and we'll be able to turn it around. It just got even harder. It was harder and harder.
But then the year after, I think we did all right.
What we did is, when he came in, he took the side as it was in 2003, and we finished second last. Okay, and then we brought in all these players from other clubs. Now some of them were very good. E.g. Heath Scotland, Nick Stevens, guys like that proved to be very good. David Teague won the best and fairest in his first year at Carlton, 2004.
Yep. So Corey McKernan.
Corey McKernan. No, he was here in 2002 before Pagan.
Yeah, but he won a best and fairest in 2002.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. But I'm talking about 2004.
Yeah,
he'd left. Yeah. He went back to North Melbourne. He's trying to get away from Dennis Pagan. Players like that. But we also got players like Brett Johnson, Daniel Harford, Digby Morrell, and some of these guys just weren't up to it. Mick Martin, seven games, so you can get the 300. Michael Mansfield, So
O'Reilly.
There was a bit of a mishmash of some good, some substandard.
Spare parts.
But we actually got to. I think we pretty much got to 11 wins, 10 or 11 wins in 2004. We weren't that far out of the 8.
Yeah.
But then it all collapsed again.
Yeah, because we had some sort of older players that were retiring as well.
But you again kept playing well through those years. And in fact, you were one of the shining lights of the team.
Yeah.
And really, you and Fev were one of the main reasons people used to go to the football and watch Carlton and get excited.
Fev was good. It was, that's probably when I started getting injured too, though. 2004,
well, that's true too. You started getting a few injuries.
When I started getting a few injuries.
Knee injuries?
Knees, shoulders, the knee. It was more probably late 2005 my knee started to go, but it was 2004, I think Fev crashed into me and I'd dislocated my shoulder reconstruction shoulder, so I started getting a few quite regularly there and then, so it made it a bit tougher.
Well, you were an old bloke at that stage.
Old bloke at 26.
26.
I finished when I was 28.
26 and coming up to 200 games or whatever.
Well, this is the thing,
you know what I mean? So there's
200 games. And then, of course, we had those two back-to-back wooden spoon years. But again, you played quite well. And so much so that they even threw you down in the back line and started playing some great football down there.
Yeah, it was
back to the old days.
It was 2006. So I got sort of thrown into the back line because we had Favola up forward kicking goals. And,
correct.
We had a few other avenues, and our back was a bit itchy, and I wasn't going in great form. So Pagan said, we're going to throw you down back, and I relished it. I loved it. Because I knew that's where I played my junior days, and I knew.
Is it easy to play back for someone like yourself? So you can just sort of
easy. A lot
play
easier.
Straight ahead.
A lot easier.
Like what Mitch McGovern's doing now. He's playing in the back line, whereas he started with us in the forward line.
If you can read the play, playing in the back line's so much easier, I think.
Is that because in the forward line you've got to not only move forward to it, and then you've got to twist and turn.
You've got to create it. You've got to do all the hard work, create the angles, create where the ball's going to go.
And twist and turn and go back the other way again, don't you?
The backman can sort of watch you and think, that's not going there, I can stop. But as a forward, you can't stop. You've got to keep going to try and create some space and behind you for other people. But as a back, you can say, so you can go there all you like, you're not going to get it.
Okay.
So as a back, you've got to defend as a back too, of course. You've got to defend usually a good forward. But you think it's easier reading the play that from the back,
100% easier reading it from behind. You've got it all in front of you.
And that's why a lot of times with young kids, man, they start them off in the back line.
I think it's a good spot to start.
I think that's where they should be playing young Jack Silvani. And maybe they'll find a spot for him back there where he can just go straight ahead of it.
Well, that's what they're doing with McGovern at the moment. He's come over as a forward. Now they're sort of playing him as back where he's just straightforward. But
that's what his brother was doing for years, and we finally tweaked and thought maybe he can do the same. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe Jack can do the same as Stephen and start playing in the full back line.
So when 2006, when I went back, I had a good year because I won the best and fairest. That was my year. That was my year. I won the best and fairest.
That's right. So it was a very good year for you.
I really enjoyed it and loved it. So I was, it was a good year for me.
But again, two wooden spoon years, but flanked by a couple of premierships, including one where you got to hold up the Premiership Cup as the captain.
As the night premiership.
The 2007 night premiership.
I won three of them.
Oh, that's right, 97.
97 at
Before
Waverley.
your first game.
Yeah, before my first game.
That's
so
right. You actually played really well.
at Waverley.
That was
against
that was
Geelong.
at the MCG. It was actually played at the MCG.
The final might have been semi-final might have been at Waverley.
Semi-final
Yeah, actually,
was
you're
at
right. 99.
I remember it. Yeah, I
97.
remember it was at the MCG.
What did I win? 96.
Bradley was the captain, and he held it up.
He did too.
So you played in that, didn't
What did
you?
we win the ninth flag? 97,
Yeah, against
203, 205. I think we won the. I won
We beat the same
We won
team.
203 too.
Yeah.
No, 205.
205.
Yeah.
And
205.
207.
And 207. Sorry. So
Yeah.
5 and 7. Yes. Yeah.
You're the first three-time night Premiership
Yeah.
player. From
You know what? You are.
Three-time
You have to be
night
the only-
flags, two wooden spoons.
You would have to be the only Carlton player ever to play in three
Season.
night premierships or
And three wooden
pre-season
spoons.
premierships.
And 3 wooden spoons.
yeah.
Unbelievable.
And 3 wooden spoons. Bloody hell. That's the yin and yang.
Isn't
of
that?
the-
Well, how do you win premierships in that competition and then go
Then
on to win a
wooden
wooden
spoon,
spoon?
yeah.
How does that happen?
Well, it's a short competition.
It's a short
not
competition.
everyone's using
But
their
Dennis must have been hell bent on winning those.
He got us going early. We were fit and going, and he was trying to get us off to a good start. So
Yep.
getting confidence in.
He's also
Where other
trying to get
clubs-
himself. He's also trying to get himself a 3-year
Well, that, yeah,
extension.
exactly. So where other clubs are probably building, where we're going because we had a ripping pre-season. We're ready to go. Trying to
Did that feel good though? Like, I mean,
yeah.
did you guys celebrate a little bit
did,
after
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
that we celebrated that pretty
The
pretty
night grand finals?
Yeah.
I remember, yeah, probably a bit too hard.
That's all right.
Bit too hard, but
Well,
you've got
they
to
had
celebrate your
nothing
wins.
else to celebrate other than a wooden spoon the next year.
No, I always got taught you've got to celebrate your wins. So
Yeah,
you
Now, the
don't
crazy
know when
thing-
the next one's going to be.
So the crazy thing about that year, 2007, well, you were the captain of that team.
Yep.
What, 16 rounds into the season?
Well, before
and-
that,
Oh, go on.
No, captain. They make you captain.
Yeah, they made you
Yeah,
captain.
yeah,
So, how's that feel? All of a sudden, you're captain
Yeah.
of the Carlton Football Club. Where your
When did
dad
they tell
played.
did they tell you that soon after you won the best and fairest, or was
Well,
it months later? Before?
Soon after the best and fairest, they sort of told us for next year,
Right.
our
Kuda was
captain was
gonna
open.
stand down?
Yes, our captaincy was open, so the pre-season,
Kuda stepped away from the captain.
and he announced that he was going to step back as
Yeah,
captain.
yeah.
So that whole pre-season, the club had told us,
Yep.
you know, it's going to go on your pre-season. The
Yep.
players are going to vote,
Yep.
and then the match committee will vote on top of that. So
Yeah.
it basically all went on our pre-season and how we went about it. And
Yep.
Yeah, and
Well, it's good to
the
know
vote.
that you had the vote of confidence from the players
I
and
was
the committee.
over the moon to get that job. I mean, you
There's
know,
not too many
to be named
Carlton
captain of
players
the,
that have been the
Carlton
captain of
Football
the club.
It's that was a
My
huge
word.
honour, and
100%. 100%.
I cherished it and
And they
loved
can't
it.
ever take that away from you. You were the captain. of the
It's
Carlton Football
unfortunate though that again you got cruel with injury in that year that you captained the team.
Yeah, I missed a lot of games that year, so I probably played the first couple from memory. Then
What
I
was
would've-
playing up? A knees again?
No,
or-
my knee that time. Yeah,
Right.
pre-season sort of after Christmas,
Yep.
because I'd already been named captain just before Christmas.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
when they named the captain. So, but coming back after Christmas, I was fit, firing, ready to go in 2007.
Yep.
And about 2 games
Pre-season premiership.
pre-season premiership, yeah. So I played well in that 2007, and that's when the knee started to go. Then I just started to get bone on bone,
Right.
just grinding away, and
Right.
it sort of halted a lot of my training because I couldn't do a lot of running.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had to do a lot of cross training and swimming and stuff just
Right.
to where it wasn't weight bearing, because any weight bearing on my knee for that
Yep.
2007 season was painful, and
Yeah.
they couldn't do much for it at that
No,
time back those
no.
days.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
it was basically just rest, and so I missed a lot of games.
During those games that you missed, they decided to have this rotation policy for who was going to replace you as the
Yeah,
captain. But
yeah.
in the end, they settled on just one because he did such a good
I
job.
think they might have won a couple of games or something like that.
Kate
so,
Simpson. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
He was only
Yeah.
23 at the time.
Yeah. Yep.
So young captain at the time.
Young
So you
captain.
get-
You
young
were
leader.
a young captain too. I mean, you were only
Yeah.
what 27,
27,
28?
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So I was 28. I was 28 when I finished, retired.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So at 27, you're captain. Thinking this is all too good.
Yep.
You know?
Thinking I've got another at least
I was
4 or
just going
5
to say, at
years in
that
front of me.
stage, did you think that? Yeah, I've still got
for
another
sure.
4 or 5
Yeah,
years.
I'm thinking I've got this, you know,
Jeez, you can come to an
chance
abrupt
to have
halt,
this for
can't it?
another 4 or 5 years. So
And then it come to this.
yeah, it was sort of it was a strange one because 2007 season I wasn't playing a lot of football when I was out of contract,
Yeah.
and yeah, it was sort of I was thinking I was right to play, so I'm putting my hand up to play, but the club was sort of no, you're not right, and I had to pass so many tests and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So I'm thinking myself, I want to get a contract, so I want to play. So I was trying to get out
That's
there.
right.
So, but I think I missed 12 to 14 games. I ended up playing the last 2 for that year, and that was it.
Yeah,
and
that was it.
Just at that time, still thinking I've got next year, but contract's going to come. And
So who came and told you the bad news? Was it the coach or someone else?
No, it was a phone call from my manager to tell me the bad news. But yeah, I was in the rooms doing it was pre-season at the end, or pre-season for 2008. I was sort of just doing some extra stuff, trying to get fit for the season, and then a call come. So it wasn't
from your
hadn't planned for it. Yeah, hadn't planned for it.
That's a bit disappointing, though, isn't it? I mean, surely you get someone from the club to come and sit you down face to face and say, "Look, sorry, but this is the way it is."
There is actually another story to it, but I won't go into it.
Oh, okay.
Which wasn't pleasing, which wasn't good, but
I find that disappointing. I really do.
It is disappointing.
To me, you've got to have the balls, right?
Yeah.
Seriously, to front a player and tell him face to face in his eyes,
And to tell you the
look,
truth,
I'm
like-
sorry, but this is the way it
And
is.
Brad Fisher said it too last.
Yeah, Brad Fisher
He said
told
the
us
same
last
thing.
time.
He goes, it was disappointing that they didn't even address the team, like your captain.
Say goodbye or whatever.
Nothing. So
I've got nothing of that. I didn't even get to say goodbye to anybody.
Yeah, there was no
that's a
no
shame.
goodbyes, no
no,
farewell game, no nothing. And yet you were the captain of the
I was
club.
captain the season before, and I
That's
didn't get to
disappointing.
sort of say anything to guys that I've, even not the players so much. It's more your trainers and your physios and all those guys. Your boot studders that you've spent so many time with. Didn't get all that kind of stuff. But that's.
I remember your last game of football. It was an infamous match called the Cruiser Cup.
Yeah.
The last game of 2007, where whoever won the game was technically at a disadvantage.
Exactly. Yeah.
Against Melbourne.
Yeah.
I could see you were trying your guts out.
I was playing for a contract, so I was
you were.
trying my guts out. So people can't say I was tanking or that's what people claim that no one wanted to win, but I wanted to win. I actually
was that one of the weirdest games of football you played?
Yeah, I kicked two goals, 5.
Oh,
that's right.
The knee was playing up badly there.
Yeah, I couldn't put much weight through it, so I was couldn't kick properly that day. But
you were trying your guts out, weren't you?
Yeah,
Did you feel that there were other players on the field, not just us, but maybe even them, that was sort of just going?
No, no doubt the players 100% having a crack. Every time you get out in the ground, I don't think you can play footy. It's
just not normal. It's not natural for a footballer to go out and not try.
No. Maybe in selection, maybe the best side wasn't picked. Maybe I don't know, but
there were a lot of players leading up to that game that went in for post-season surgery before the game.
Once you're out in that ground, there's no way a player can say, I'm not going to try. Or
of course.
Or he didn't try. You're always trying.
Yeah.
So that was was never there.
So all of a sudden, despite thinking a few weeks earlier that you still got 4 or 5 years ahead of you, it's all come to an abrupt finish. So what are you thinking? What are you feeling? And what do you end up doing after that?
I remember when I hung up from the phone call from my manager, I walked into Shane O'Sullivan's office.
Yep.
And
the guy that recruited you in the first place, eh?
Yeah. I walked in and I looked at him. I said, "So that's it?" And he obviously already knew the news, and we both broke down crying. So that was it. And that was it. That was it.
That's sad.
Yeah,
that's sad.
So that was. I remember
but you must have had to pick yourself up and say, "Well, it's not the end of my life. I've got other things I can do." Now, what did you do immediately after finishing up? 28 years of age. You're not an old man.
Yeah. Well, I still had young kids, and I still at the time had sort of ambitions of playing AFL footy. So I was sort of straight back on the phone to my manager. I said, "Okay, Carlton aren't doing it. Let's do it somewhere else." We sort of spoke to a couple of clubs about it, and then in the end, it was sort of my decision not to go through with it and sort of say, "Yep, that's enough." So
fair enough. And you went travelling after that, didn't you?
Did, yeah. Went travelling, yep.
Whereabouts?
We went to, been in America a few times. Did a lot of travelling to Queensland, but we went to the States after that a couple of times. So.
Did you go up to the Northern Territory at one stage?
Went to Northern Territory pretty much straight away, and played footy up there. I took up, because I had family that live up there, and sort of my cousin Ashley that he lived in Melbourne when I started. He's the one that got me bearing for Essendon.
All right, yeah.
He took off from Melbourne when he was about 15 and lived in the Territory.
Yep.
So I never really got a chance to play footy with him. So I went up straight up there pretty much straight away and played some footy for Palmerston.
So that was the following year, 2008?
Pretty much straight away, yeah.
Right,
It was pretty much...
How was that playing in a place like... Do you think that, having played there, do you think that it's realistic for a team to be based in the Northern Territory, say in Darwin, based there with the weather that they have, with the conditions that they have?
I reckon I'm surprised
and the facilities that they have?
Yeah, I'm surprised that there's not a team up there already. Or
really?
One in the works, because it's they love their footy up there.
Yeah.
Yep. They're fanatical about their footy, and probably their stadium needs some work done to it.
But
it's good enough.
what about the weather situation? Because it's always, I mean, even in the middle of winter, it's 31 degrees.
It does get warm playing football.
Yeah.
Especially if you're playing during the day up there. But
Yep.
I mean, nothing wrong playing night games up there.
Yeah.
True.
The spectacle's good up there. I mean,
So if you had every single game played at night, Friday night, Saturday night, who knows, maybe even Sunday
it does get slippery, but
It's
slippery
humid,
in
is it?
Melbourne,
It's always humid,
yeah.
isn't it?
But I mean, if you're going up there and playing regularly, you're going to get used to it.
It's interesting.
It would be an advantage having a home team up there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about
Well,
that.
I know you came back here and played for your local clubs and all that sort of thing as well, and you
Yeah.
coached you coached a premiership at Craigieburn.
I have, yeah. Coached, finished AFL, went up to Darwin, played for Palmerston,
Yep.
come straight back here and played for my local club, Laylaw.
Yes.
At the time, they sort of needed a hand and
Yep.
got in, gave them a hand. So I played a couple of seasons there, and then I took up coaching. I went to played at Craigieburn for a year or two, and then took up coaching. I started coaching. My first coaching job was at Glenroy
Yes.
in the seniors in the Essendon District League.
Great.
Coached there for 4 years. When I got there, I was sort of 3/4 of the way down the ladder. Played off in a grand final my second year.
Great.
Made finals in all 4 years.
Excellent.
And then, went up to Craigieburn and coached. And in my first year coaching up there, got a flag. So
Nice.
Excellent. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So you must enjoy coaching.
I love coaching.
Would you like to coach at AFL level?
Nah, it's not,
No? Not your thing?
not my thing. No.
Next
Rather be in the club land?
I
in the
love the
suburbs.
local footy side of things.
Yeah.
Coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, I love coaching young kids and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
I mean, you get that in the AFL. But I love the local side of it, where you know, heart and soul's there. The
Yeah.
guys there, they do anything for your local footy club. So I enjoy it.
Well, mate, 216 games. Fantastic games for Carlton. Kicking 348 goals, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
An All-Australian,
Yeah, it was.
a best and fairest, captain of the club. You did yourself proud and your family proud. I'm sure everyone in your family will be proud of you. And,
Yeah.
you're a great stalwart at Carlton, and we'll always thank you for the memories that you gave us, mate.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed every minute of it, and it was a great club. So
Thanks for joining
enjoyed
us on the Jumper Punch.
Thanks.
it. Yeah, all right.
And
Yeah,
guess what
well-
else? Apart from all of those accolades on your resume, you know what else you can add to that now?
A legend of the jumper punch.
Jumper punch, that's it. Can't take that away.
All right. Thank you very
All
much.
right, mate.
We
And as
always-
we always say after we finish an interview and before we go to a game, go Blues!
Blues!
Go the Blues.
Till I'm dead and buried deep within a cemetery, I will fight, never weary, I wanna be legendary. Till I'm dead and buried deep within a cemetery, I will fight, never weary, I wanna be legendary. I wanna be legendary. Coming out of the gate, I'll be last place, that's alright. I don't work at a fast pace, I'm a steady horse creeping up, straight passing. And once I pass you, no one's getting past me. I've seen people hit walls when they stop there. I don't get that mind, man, it sounds scared. Good things take time, better prepare, cause anything great takes pain, it's a fair. Take it from me, cause I got to this place where no one can tell me to do anything. I call my own shots, I call my own place. I enjoy my life almost every day, and I could